a leaders' discussion titled Fostering Success Through a Conscious Organization Culture, featuring Shiv Shivakumar, Group Executive President, Corporate Strategy and Business Development, Aditya Birla Group, Shobhana Kamineni, Executive Vice President, Apollo Hospitals Enterprise, Vice Chairperson, and Anant Maheshwari, President, Microsoft India. The discussion will be moderated and anchored by Anant. Over to you, Anant. Stage is all yours.
Unmuting myself. Thank you so much, Shreya, for getting us to this session. And we'll get started. I know we are running a little late, and therefore I will also reorganize the session a little bit because I know Shobna has a hard stop a little earlier than the end of this time that we have. But it's been a fabulous NTLF. We are coming towards the end of it on the last day, and we're looking at this critical topic. It is commonly said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So how do we look at it in the context of the hybrid workplace that we live in the context of work from anywhere world that we live in, because culture is so important. Each of us has been increasing our tech intensity during the last 12 months of the pandemic. And it's not just at work, it's not just how we do NTLF, it's in everything. It's about how we think about our lives, about the online grocery, think the remote school, the online consultations with the doctors, the virtual gym, the online socializing, and so on. So we can keep going on and on about how our tech intensity has increased in the last 12 months. Now, as you look back, you will always feel good about the resilience that we have displayed in all of us. And because of that, you can look forward and say, even though there were significant losses, we can look forward to healing, to growth, and to restoration. So with that context, in the next 25 minutes, I want to explore this interplay of culture with technology with both Shiv and Shobna, and who have a wide range of experiences to speak through this. As Shobna has to leave a little earlier, I'll focus my initial set of questions to her, and then we'll continue with Shiv and me talking about it. So Shobna, I know you are very passionate advocate of purpose in the culture. So can you tell us how you have navigated this sense of purpose, especially in the context of the pandemic, and how you look at it going forward?
Hey, hi Anand, and hi Shiv. Great being with both of you. And you know, one of the best, most widely read books in business or strategy or whatever you want to call it, politics, is Machiavelli's theories, and he says you should do everything to get ahead. And I think that there was a study that was done that actually said when humanity was pushed, they would never do anything, that would harm others and would and it was contrary to what was written about, that people are inherently immoral. And I think that's amazing, because that's really what this pandemic brought about, the better side of people. And I think that what better side than to talk about healthcare. And this is, if we start with a noble purpose. And I heard my daughter speak the other day, and she said, we're so privileged to work in this. But on the other side, I was thinking that, yes, we are privileged, but it was this purpose that made every single one of the 112,000 people that we have came to work. And that was amazing, that they came to work. Even the women, the nurses, when their parents were saying come back home, they said no, we have to be here. So there was a bigger purpose that was driving them at this particular time. But I would think that what's really special about what came through in an organization that actually transcends it is when every one of these people will show up and think that you might tomorrow get COVID and lose your life. And that person that you're treating is not your relative, is nobody, not even your friend. It is someone you don't even know, but you're willing to risk your life for that person. And I think there's no greater sense of when you hit the road about purpose. That's it. That is just the penultimate of saying that this is an organization, or this is this is a profession that seriously has purpose. So I think we're lucky. Another thing is that we have a great role model. My 87-year-old dad suited up and went to work every single day. I mean, we did not have patients for a long time, because nobody could get there during the lockdown. But he was there. He said, no, let's see what we need to do. And when the COVID cases came, we were prepared. We were just, everything changed. And I think we had to be very agile. So that's another thing of purpose. How can you be, like Einstein, more adaptable? The resilience of an organization. So to me, these are the 2 points that I would really put together as the big ones. And this has been the test of humanity.
No, absolutely, Shobna. I couldn't have said it better. And it resonates very well with me because a lot of people have come and asked me, hey, listen, how did you manage to even think about work during this time? And I had a very simple thing to say to them, which is true for everybody else in our company. Our mission is very simple, to empower every person and every organization to achieve more. So as the pandemic struck, we basically said, hey, listen, we've got to enable every healthcare professional to be able to serve every patient in the world because they can't even meet at this point in time. We have to enable every teacher and every student to continue learning. We have to enable every person to continue to work, every organization to continue their business, and every government and local body to have tech tools to fight back on COVID. So I completely resonate that purpose made me get up every morning and said, I have to do my bit in the pandemic, and that's how the world keeps moving forward. Now, in that time, it becomes tough, and therefore mental well-being and mental health becomes a very big thing. So as you described that person who was grappling with this dilemma of how do I even go to the hospital, was mental well-being an issue? And then how did you use technology at all to support that?
And hey, thank you, because I don't want to sound like an advertisement for Microsoft, but we did use Azure, and it really helped us switch on. Uh, here are doctors that were there, but their patients couldn't get to them. Fortunately, we had been working on this technology solution almost about 6 months before. We were ready to move, and within a month, we had switched on 3,000 doctors to be, to do teleconsults. And I think this was the biggest, achievement that we could do in a transformational manner. And this has now come to stay, that we do have this very agile app that Apollo has now said we will go digital. We're not new in this. Every single hospital around the world, and as we speak to the Intermountains and the Mayos and everybody, they have realized that no longer can we stay, that technology and this pandemic has changed the world forever. So this thing about a hybrid workplace is no longer something special. It is just something you need to do to survive. It's business survival almost 101 now. And what we build on top of it, and how complex and how easy you can make it. Actually, the complexity comes in how easy, and that's it, that I should be able to get a patient that can show what he has, or I should be able to look at his face, detect it on the thing, see his tension level, and actually be empathetic and find him the fastest care. I should be able to move a hospital to the house now. These are the things of hybrid and the way that technology, and in every single industry, you will find that we are rethinking. All the strategy rooms are moving in to say, what is it that we need to change business, because it's not going to be what it was earlier. And healthcare is one of them that is really going to change. You will all find it so much easier. It's not just Googling for a doc anymore, but it's actually getting a doctor. And about the mental health, Anat, it's crazy, but most of us don't even realize the pressure that we're under. But those that have lost jobs, those that have children at home, small children in small, crowded homes, many of these situations, of tension that has been exacerbated by this whole situation. It used to be about 1 in 10 in a workplace had mental health issues. Today, it's 4 out of 10. and much of it in India we don't even recognize. But this is a latent problem, and believe me that in future organizations like Nasscom and CR and FICCI are going to have to address this in the physical and the hybrid workplace. There's a higher level of tensions. There are also diseases that have not been looked into, and I think this is something that is a future. But please don't let me end on such a dismal subject.
No, absolutely not, Shobna. I have lots of questions for you, and I know you are running behind time right now. You had said your hard stop is 6 o'clock, and we're already past that. So I'll have
I
to.
want to give Shiv.
No, so I'll continue with Shiv after this. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much.
It's been just brilliant. Thank you. And Shiv, all the best. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you so much. So,
Thank you.
Shiv,
Thank you.
I'll pick up exactly where Shobna left on this topic, and we were talking about the interplay of technology into culture. And you have such a wide range of experiences across industries. So, if you can pull that experience in a capsule and share with us how you see technology interplaying with culture in the current context.
Yeah, so thank you, Anant. So if you look at culture and technology, actually it starts at a societal level. Companies are a micro sense of the changes in society. Let me give you a few examples. When books first came to be printed, royalty didn't want books to be printed because they said everybody will have knowledge. And kings and queens didn't want everybody to have knowledge, number one. Then, of course, it became very different. Let's take some recent examples. Cars. The invention of the car changed the concept of suburban America. Okay, people started driving 30 minutes, 40 minutes to work, etc. No longer did you need to live at the workplace. That's another change. Take a fundamental one which all of us experience right now, GPS. President Clinton signed the GPS thing 20 years ago, almost to the day. Okay, now thanks to GPS, there are so many industries, so many things which have completely changed it. Today, at one level, it makes us pinpoint exactly what's happening to us. The second thing about GPS is 80% of the data collected today, Anant, is data led. 80% of the data is about location. Okay, let me give you some not so good ones. Let's take email. Earlier we had a cycloselling machine, then we went to a Xerox machine. Now email is a fantastic thing. You can mark 1,000 people, okay, which is a pain, which is the wrong side of technology. And the wrong side of technology behavior is BCC. Now, no organization tells you to do BCC, right? But people do it. And that's not a very good outcome of technology. And the final example I give you is news. People got news from posters, then from newspapers, then from radio, then from television. Today you get it from your phone. Okay, so you get very quick news, but trust and what is fake news and what's genuine news is a challenge to society as well as in an organization. And I think the fundamental change for an organization is in 1960s, the average life of a company was 60 years. Today it is 20 years. So all of technology is hastening life, hastening careers. And many a leader, I think, has shorter and shorter attention spans as a result of technology.
No, thank you so much. So with that, let me just now touch upon something that I know you're very passionate about. Everybody loves talking about the hybrid workplace today, and starts maybe focusing too much on the internal side of the hybrid workplace. But you are operating across industries today where you really can't think about continuing a manufacturing plant or continuing a supply chain where you have to have physical presence of folks, and also then interacting with different parts of the customer value chain. So can you share with us a little bit more on culture in the context of this hybrid that is working, where some people will be on the job, some people will be off? How does culture play in that time, and how does tech support it?
Absolutely. So let's look at the following areas. Let's take at manufacturing. I think it's almost certain that a lot of manufacturing, especially the hazardous part of manufacturing, will go to automation, and that will be completely tech-led. Okay, so you'll see robots, you'll see all kinds of things at the workplace. No company has formulated policies for a human being and robot to work together. Okay, that's something which will fundamentally change. That will be a very hybrid HR department and a hybrid HR policy. Let's go to services. I believe thanks to the pandemic, I believe you'll have two types of services, contact services and contactless services. And I think more and more businesses will move to contactless services. Okay, for example, let's take a hotel. Let's take a Taj group of hotel. They have fantastic restaurants, but they're putting the menu on their e-commerce site and asking you to choose so that you don't have to come to the restaurant. They're making it contactless, but you get the same amount of food, etc. So I think that will be a fundamental shift again. But I think the most important shift for businesses is that every business will need a digital business model. In some cases, it will be the front and center. Let's take fashion and apparel as an example. In fashion and apparel, it is the center model. In education, it is the center model. In healthcare, it will become the central model. In courts, in the legal profession, you can argue to a judge on the net. So it's not there as yet, but it will hasten it. So I think in manufacturing, it will start with automation. In services, it will move into contactless. And I think every place where the middleman adds no value, Anand, will get disrupted by technology.
Now, I have to respond by saying, what an idea. And when you said new HR policies of humans working with robots, I think that completely changes the paradigm of how organizations will need to think about culture in the context of technology. Very powerful. So as we think about it, I think the other piece about the hybrid workplace, as we think in the future, is that the office was a normalizing function. Wherein everybody got a level playing field to be working together. And today, when people work from different places and coming from different constraints, it does have an ability to create different playing fields for everyone. But as we move forward, and I have I'm moving to the last aspect of our talk, which is on the individual. And I also have some questions around that from the audience. So I'll bring them to you as I frame this. You have to think about the impact of technology in the context of culture, where technology has really made a difference. And to the different examples you were taking, right from books to automobiles and so on, if there are two things that can be easily called out where technology has affected the individual in impacting the culture, it's number one, the growth mindset, and second is collaboration, as you called out in the context of email also. So tech platforms really democratized information to the context of let's not share information, but tech platforms democratize information and they democratize skilling. So anybody could change, learn, and grow. So that just became a very different flywheel in the context of culture, because culture looks for that change and growth. And secondly, collaboration, where with collaboration tools like we have today, like Yammer, Teams, and the others, you can truly have an organization learning together, knowing together. So it's completely changed. So as you look at the world going forward, and I have a couple of questions from the audience. The first question is, what will it take to link the industry and the future skilling and academia going forward? So I think focusing on the skilling, the skills that individuals will need to navigate the new normal. And similarly, I think a young learner is asking, is there any upcoming technology that I should focus on to learn, given what has just happened and how the world will change in the coming time? So, Shiv, if you can pull your thoughts together on skilling in the context of technology and culture in the hybrid workplace.
Yeah, we already see it thanks to digitization and digital and data and insights, etc. We already see people going in for short skilling courses in the area of data science, data scientists, etc., etc. So I think the real shift will happen when people or employers don't value degrees or don't worry about degrees, but start asking you what skills you had. Today, nobody asks you whether you studied in XY place as long as you're a good coder. Okay, your coding skills are more important than which place you went to. And I think that's going to be a huge move. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you go to a company, the company can skill you, the company can reskill you. But I think that will be incremental effort. I believe the job of reskilling is with the individual. He or she has to recognize that you have to reskill, otherwise you'll be left behind. So I think you need to reach out, you need to follow your passion to say, these are areas, these are avenues that I want to really learn more about. This is where the future is headed. and I want to be part of that.
No, so if I ask you a personal question here, Shiv, I know last 12 months have been quite busy. If there is one or two things that you would look back in the 12 months and say, hey, listen, I had to change this, even though I've been doing this for more than 3 decades, and how I'm changing, I think that will form a clue to a lot of people who are listening and looking up and saying, listen, what do leaders do differently as we move forward?
Absolutely. So if you look at the structure of the organization hierarchy we have, our organization structure, it's been derived from two sources over the last 100 years. One is the army and two is the church. And both are hierarchical structures. What has the pandemic and technology and culture made us do? We moved from what we call vertical collaboration to horizontal collaboration. Okay, we've had to build horizontal collectivism. Everybody is on a call, everybody is being called out, and you're driving innovation much faster. So I think one of the fundamental shifts all leaders have had to deal with today is driving horizontal collectivism and showing more empathy, because a vertical system truly does not do that.
No, and just to close out there, I was reflecting that question to myself as I asked you that question. I got these two very interesting comments, and one was sparked by what you were saying, that in today's world, when we sit in meetings today, you don't have that classical boardroom situation where there is a head of the table and the end of the table, and you're far away from somebody who may be the decision maker, because when you're doing these virtual calls, everybody is equal in terms of how they come together. So there is a massive equalization that has happened in organizations where the leader may get the same size of the picture that anybody else gets in a call that may be happening to take decisions. So that was one call out. And the second one, I think very interestingly, it came out to me from somebody in our organization where this person said, you're actually more accessible during the pandemic because I can have a call with you and have full attention. And it's not just a large meeting. I'm actually talking to you one-on-one in this and not waiting for you to come to the location that I'm at. So we can actually catch up a lot more. And I found that quite amazing that it's counterintuitive that would happen in the pandemic. So any closing thoughts there, Shiv?
I'll tell you at the end, okay, we've been working from August 17th. I've been at work and then I've been traveling. At the end of last year, between December 14th and January 1, I spoke to 50 families, 50 people who are my direct reports and one level below that. And I just wanted to thank them for what they've gone through in the pandemic. And I just said, you can ask me any question. Okay, number one, everybody expressed gratitude. Gratitude to the job they had, gratitude to the colleagues they had, gratitude to the fact that they survived. You know, many a time we underestimate the gratitude we owe our companies. Okay, that was a huge lesson listening to everybody. The second one, which was very important, was almost everybody said the world will be very, very different. Tell us what will be different. What do you think will change? And whether it was a student, whether it was an aged parent, etc., they were looking for those clues. And I told them one of the fundamental shifts I think everybody has learned in this thing is that you are not safe alone. You're safe when everybody else is safe. Okay, so please work towards ensuring that society is safe. Do your bit for society. So I think the concept of doing something for society also is the second aspect compared to gratitude. Third lesson, nobody is talking of work-life balance. Most people are tending to talk of mental health issues. So that's good for CEOs and companies because nobody is asking you what to do about work and life. They're really happy that they have work. Those are the three things that I learned.
No, so thank you so much for that, Shiv. And to just wrap up for the audience, I think this was a fascinating discussion. We covered so much ground, starting from this call out to purpose that Shobna was very particular about, and how that's very critical to do what we are doing. And moving on from there to just talk about mental well-being, and as even Shiv alluded in the end, it's about mental well-being more than the work-life balance at this point in time. Third, as we move forward, I think technology and this time has really created a massive equalization. The hierarchical structures are changing. People are rethinking through as to how they will run organizations going forward, and they're already starting to do that. And finally, I think it was very powerful to think about, hey, listen, all of our people policies will start seeing change as we go forward, because we will have a very strong interplay of the hybrid workplace, the individual, and even robots, and as they come in and aid us in automation across the board. So thank you so much to everyone for listening to us, and Shreya, I pass it back to you onto the main stage. Thank you, Shiv.
You so much, Anand, Shobna, and Shiv. This reminds me of so many things in context when we speak about purpose, trust, values, gratitude. That entire conversation was thought provoking just for you to take a step back and look at culture itself. American psychologist Adam Grant rightly said the culture of a workplace and organization's values, norms, and practices has a huge impact on our happiness and success. Oh, hold on. I heard a beep. Did you? Looks like we have a message from some of our overseas friends.